Interpret the meaning of factors. Let us have a quick warm-up. Let us count forward and backwards from 3 to 30. So, counting forward is like so. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. Now let me count backwards from 30. 30, 27, 24, 21, 18, 15, 12, 9, 6, 3. In this picture, how many groups are circled? Let us check. Group 1 circled, group 2 is also circled, and group 3 is also circled. So there are totally 3 groups that are circled. How many are in each group? Let us check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 in each group. So the size of each group is 5. Write it as an addition sentence. So the addition sentence for this picture will be 5 plus 5 plus 5, which is equal to, we know that 5 plus 5 is 10, and 10 plus 5 will be 15. The total is 15. That means there are 15 circles in the picture. Let us check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There are 15 circles in the picture. If you see here, there are 3 5s, right? Let me write it down. Okay? Let us solve this question. The question is, Robbie sees that a carton of eggs shows an array with 2 rows of 6 eggs. What is the total number of eggs in the carton? We have to solve this question in RDW process. Okay, so RDW process. R is for read the question, so you have to read the question first. The second step is D, draw a picture. Okay, and the last step is W. So find the answer and then you have to write the statement. So let us start. Okay, the character here is called Robbie and he sees a carton of eggs and the array is, what is the array here? Array is 2 rows of 6 eggs. What is the total number of eggs in the carton? So the statement you have to do is for the last question. For the last question, you have to do the statement. I will show you how to do it. Okay? So the array here is 2 rows of 6x. It must be like so. So one row will be like that and the other row will be below it. Okay, so there are 2 rows now. So the array is 2 rows of 6x. So each row must be having 6x like so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let me draw the array of 2 rows of 6x. So it goes like that. 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is one row. The second row will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if you see here in this picture, there will be 2 rows, right? So this is the first row. So this will be the first row and this will be the second row. So 2 rows of 6. So this is an array. In this problem, each row is a group. For example, that is one row and it is a group. So there are 2 groups, like this is one group and the other group is this one, right? Okay, so when we make a multiplication equation, the number of groups goes first, right? So there are how many groups? So there are one group and one group. So 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay, so 2 groups of how many circles are in one group gives us the size of the group. So let us count how many circles are one group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the size of the group is 6, right? So the multiplication equation goes like so. 2 times 6 equals what? So we know that 2 times 6 is 12. The total is 12. That means there are 12 green circles. Or there are 12 number of eggs in the carton, right? So the next step is we have to restate the last question. So where is the last question? The last question is right here. So last question is right here. What is the total number of eggs in the carton? So we have to restate that question. How should we restate it? What is the total number of eggs in the carton? So there are 12 eggs in Robbie's carton. So let me write that down. There are 12 eggs in Robbie's carton. Period. So that is a statement for this question. Let me give a quick recap. So we have read the question first, and then we have drawn a picture, which is right here. Okay? Drawn a picture. And then we have made a multiplication sentence. And finally, we have done the statement for this problem. Okay? So this is the statement for this problem. Okay, now we know that Robbie has 12 eggs. And the multiplication equation is 2 times 6 equals 12, right? 2 is a factor. And 6 is also a factor. And 12 is called the product, which is a total, right? So this factor represents the number of groups. And the second factor represents the size of each group. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind. Division. What is division? Let us imagine there are 12 apples in a box and I need to divide these 12 apples equally into 4 groups. So let me divide. This is the first group and this is the second group and this is the third group and this is the last group, the fourth group. So what I have done is I have divided the apples equally into 4 groups. That is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is I know the number of apples, the total number of apples is 12, right? And I need to make 4 groups. So 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, and 4 group. And let me start dividing the apples equally into the 4 groups. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So if you see here, there are 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 groups, right? And each group contains 1, 2, and 3 apples. So if you see the second group also contains 3 apples. If you see the third group also has 3 apples. 1, 2, 3, 3 apples. The fourth group also has 3 apples. Right? So I have divided the 12 apples into 4 equal groups. Let me write that down. 4 equal groups. And the multiplication equation will be 4 groups of 3, which is equal to 12. The number bond for this multiplication equation, 4 times 3 equals 12, will be the total goes on the top or the whole. So this is called the whole or the total, right? So the whole goes on the top and the parts or the groups. So 4 groups of 3. So let me write 3, 3, 3, and 3. So this is the number bond for the multiplication equation 4 times 3 equals 12. So if you see here, so this is the, as I told you already, so this is the whole or the total, and these are parts. So this is part and this is part. This is also part. This is also part of the whole, okay? So this part is also called group. This part is also called group. So this is group. group and group. So how many groups of 4? So there are 4 groups of 3, right? So there are 4 groups of 3. So, and the size of each group is 3. Now let us see how to draw a number bond for this multiplication equation. 4 times 6 equals 24. So the total goes on the top, 24. So that is a whole. It is also called total, right? So now let me draw the parts. So how many groups? 4 groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 groups of 6. 6. Second group of 6. Third group of 6. And that is a fourth group of 6. This is the number bond for the multiplication sentence. 4 times 6 equals 24. The number bond for the multiplication equation 5 times 4 equals 20 will be, so if you see here, there are 5 groups of 5 groups 4, and the total is 20. 5 times 4 equals 20. Okay, so in the first question, how many rows of cars are there? So let us check. So 1 row, 2 row, 3 row, and 4 row. So there are 4 rows of car, right? So there are 4 rows of car. How many cars are there in each row? So that means in this row, so each row means 1 row. In each row, how many rows of cars are there? So 1 car and 2 cars. So there are 2 cars in each row, right? So let us write 2. In this question number 2, what is the number of rows? So here we have to count the number of rows. So row 1, row 2, and row 3. So there are 3 rows in this picture. So let us write 3. Okay. The next question is, what is the number of objects in each row? So in each row, so each row means 1 row. What is the number of objects? Let us count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 objects in 1 row. That means 6 objects in each row. So the answer will be 6. Okay, the next question is question number 3. There are 4 spoons in each row. How many spoons are in 2 rows? So they're asking us to find how many spoons are in 2 rows. So this is the first row and this is the second row. Okay? So let us count how many spoons are in 2 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the answer should be 8. There are 8 spoons in 2 rows. Write a multiplication expression to describe the array. I've told you already to remember, multiplication expression will not have an equal sign, right? Okay, so now we have to make a multiplication expression for this array. So the first factor will be the number of groups. So if you see here, there are 2 groups, 1 group and the second group. So there are 2 groups. Okay, so 2 groups of, so 2 times. Okay, so um, the multiplication expression for this problem will be two groups of 4. So it will be 2 times 4. Always remember, the multiplication expression will not have an equal sign. Okay? So this 2 here represent the number of groups, and this 4 here represents the size of each group. The last question is question number 4. There are 5 rows of triangles. How many triangles are in each row? So how many? How many? That means you have to find the total number of triangles. Okay? So let us find the total number of triangles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So there are 20 triangles in that picture. Write a multiplication expression to describe the total number of triangles. So you have to find the total number of triangles, which we already did, which is 20. And we have to write a multiplication expression. How to do it? Always remember, the first factor will be the number of groups, right? So if you see here, there are 1 group, 2 group, 3 group, 4 group, and 5 group. There are 5 groups. So 5 times size of each group. What is the size of one group? 1, 2, 3, 4 triangles, right? So the size of one group has 4 triangles. So 5 times 4. So 5 times 4 is the multiplication expression for this picture. Okay, so here we have to redraw the dots into rows of 5. Okay, rows of 5. So 2 rows of 5. So 1 row of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if you see here, I have drawn 1 row of 5. So this is the first row of 5, and this is the second row of 5. So 2 rows of 5. Compare the drawing to your array. Write at least one reason why they are the same and one reason why they are different. So for this question, the perfect response will be, they are same because they have equal number of dots. Okay, so that means, so this number of dots is equal to this number of dots. Okay, so they have same. So that is how they are same. They are different because the array is in rows and the other is not. How are these two different? So if you see the array, so this is the array, okay, so it is arranged in rows, right? So these are in rows. Whereas if you compare, so this array with the other ones which is here, so the other ones are not in array, right? It is just in whatever place, right? So this is a perfect response for this question. Gemma collects rocks. She arranges them in 4 rows of 3. Draw Emma's array to show how many rocks she has altogether. Then write a multiplication equation to describe the array. So here is the array. If you see 4 rows of 3. Okay, so here if you see, this is the first row of 3. This is the second row of 3. This is the third row of 3. This is the fourth row of 3. Okay, so I have made a picture for that, or it is an array for that. And the next step is I have to make a multiplication equation to describe the array. So how to do a multiplication equation? So let me write the multiplication equation. Always the first factor will be the number of groups, so that means the number of rows, right? Okay, so how many groups are here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So there are 4 groups, so the multiplication equation will be 4 times 4 times 4 times, and the size of each group, if you see the size of each group, if I take this group, there are 3 circles, right? So the size of each group is 3. So 4 times 3 equals, so 4 times 3 means 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, right? So 4 times 3 equals 12. This is the multiplication equation for this picture. Joshua organizes cans of food into an array. He thinks, my cans show 5 times 3. Draw Joshua's array to find the total number of cans he organizes. Okay, so the Joshua's array is 5 times 3. That is what is given. So we have to make an array that shows 5 times 3. So 5 groups of 3. So it must be 1, 2, 3. One group of 3. This is the second group of 3. This is the third group of 3. This is the fourth group of 3. And this is the fifth group of 3. Okay, so this is an array that Joshua has made. So if you make an array, it's very easy to find the total. How to find the total? The total you have to find by using a multiplication equation. So let's make a multiplication equation for this array. The number of group goes first, right? So the first factor will be the number of groups, which is here. I'll show you. So this is the first. How many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 groups, right? So there are 5 groups. So the multiplication equation goes like that: 5 times, and the size of each group. What is the size of each group? How many dots are there in each group? 3 dots, right? So the size of each group is 3. So 5 times 3, it's an equation. So you have to make an equation. So 5 times 3 equals 15. So the total is right here. The total is also called product. So here you have to make the statement for the last question. Okay, how many, the total number of cans he organizes. Okay, let's do the statement for that. We have to write like so: Joshua organizes 15 cans. So the answer that we found is 15. So that goes there. Joshua organizes 15 cans. Okay, period. So that is the answer for the 7th question. Okay, the question here is, there are 4 rows of stars. How many stars are in each row? Okay, so if the question is how many, then you have to find the total number of stars which is given in the picture. Okay, so if the question is about how many, okay, so if the question is how many, then you have to find the total. Okay, so let us so there are 12 stars. Okay, there are 12 stars in this picture. We have to make a multiplication equation for this array. So the number of groups, right? So there are 4 groups. So 4 times the size of each group. 4 times 3 equals the total. So 4 times 3 means 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3. And that is 12. The next question is, Judy collects seashells. She arranges them in 3 rows of 6. Draw Judy's array to show how many seashells she has altogether. Then write a multiplication equation to describe the array. Okay, so the array that she makes is 3 rows of 6. So let us make 3 rows of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's the first row of 6. This is the second row of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is the third row of 6. Okay, so these are the 3 rows of 6. The next step is we have to find out how many she cells she has altogether. So how many of them she has altogether? So if you see the word altogether, that means you have to find the total number of total. So altogether means total. Okay. The next step is to make a multiplication equation for this picture. So we have to see how many groups are there. For that, let me check how many groups. So this is 1 group, 2 group, and 3 groups, right? So there are 3 groups of 6. So the multiplication equation will be 3 times 6 equals the product. So 3 times 6 means 6 plus 6 plus 6. We know that 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. The last step is to restate the question. The question is right here. How many seashells she has altogether? So we have to restate the question. Judy has 18 seashells altogether. So that is the statement for the problem. Statement. So what we have done here is we have solved this problem according to RDW process. Okay, so we have read the question, we have drawn a picture for this question, and then finally we have found the answer. That means we did the multiplication number sentence or the multiplication equation, and finally we also wrote the statement for this question.